Hi, welcome to this Facebook Live event. So I'm going to just start off by allowing people just to catch up with me and just to log on and say hi. So hey, say hi if you manage to jump on. And we are going to be talking about how to get rid of the feeling of dread. Now, when I originally mooted this, I was picking up on some of the Facebook comments that people were making about this feeling of dread. And I thought, actually, it's a really good target because a feeling of dread is, hi, Karen, a feeling of dread, well, it's horrible, but it's also very heavy, I think. I mean, you might have a different experience. And it reminded me that I, many years ago, did some work with Paul McKenna. He was showing me this thing. He says this is a good way of moving an emotion. And I actually do use it in my clinical practice, but I just thought, you know what, it's something that I could show you and you could use. And the reason being that we assume that the experience we have is more or less what we have, right? We're not really sure how to change our sort of psychological experience. Now, in cognitive behavior therapy, you know, we use all sorts of tools, and I develop a lot of tools, and I'm sure you'll have seen some of my tools on the Panic Pit Stop app or the Panic Pit Stop program if you're in that. So really, we're about changing our experience, and in some ways, we'd say we're about changing our state, if you like, our emotional state. And I just want to start off by explaining the kind of model that we're going to be thinking about, just to give people time to jump on and say hi. So I put up a picture on the group and on the page, and it looks like this. I just put it up a little while ago. It just looks like that. Okay, and it basically is a kind of a conceptual map of the processes that we're struggling with. Now, people have over the week put in requests for focusing on nausea, headache, feeling of dread, feeling of sort of sickness in the stomach, anticipatory anxiety. So lots of dissociation, of course, lots of aspects of unpleasant physical sensations. And typically what we're going to do is we're going to locate the physical sensation either in the chest or the stomach or in the head. But principally, I'm going to suggest the chest and the stomach. The reason being that there are a lot of nerve endings that come into the chest and the stomach, and they actually, you know, in the solar plexus, we tend to feel our anxiety. And in truth, anxiety often is a physical sensation as much as anything else. So I'm just going to run through how it's going to work. When we think about a problem, and I'm going to say dread, okay, and I'm going to locate dread in the stomach. So it's a heavy, powerful sensation in the stomach or the chest. And it can be, you know, I mean, it could be lots of different things. It could be the intense feeling of fatigue. It could be the feeling of exhaustion. It could be something else. But if we think of it from the top down, every experience that you have has a meaning attached to it. Now, you might not necessarily know what the meaning is on the face of it, but it always has a meaning simply because the experience is, how might we say, interpreted, okay? So your brain cannot allow you to have an experience which is horrible and not interpret it in some way, right? It means something because it's important. So we would say top down in that brain interprets this experience in some particular way. And in the drawing that I have put up on the page, we've got a few different cognitive processes, as I'm calling them, right? We've got memory of past events. So you have past experiences of having this experience. So, you know, if you want to get good at something, what must you do? Typically, we're going to say practice, right? So you're practicing. Every time you experience this, in principle, you're practicing. And that means that you're having it, you're creating the potential for having it more often. We have beliefs associated with it. And a lot of times, if you've experienced this problem over a number of years, well, it could even be a number of months, to be honest, you're likely to feel like there's nothing that can be done about it. You're likely to feel like there's something wrong with you. And you're likely to feel like it's something that is pervasive, indicative of something really more serious, and it's not something that you're going to be able to change. So Okay, so those kind of beliefs are really they keep it held in place in a way, because they basically say there's nothing you can do about it. Now, what they also tell you is that well, not so much what they tell you, but they kind of make you feel stuck and a bit helpless and hopeless. And if that's your experience, the reason being is you just don't know exactly what to do. Hi, Louise. Has it been hard to find me? I hope I'm on the right page, by the way. So from the top down, which means from the brain down, we have cognitive processes, and these cognitive processes include memories, beliefs, habits, and of course lots of unconscious processes. Because I don't know if anyone said this to you, but you are in fact an iceberg. In that, not that you're cold, no, not you're emotionally cold, no, you're an iceberg. In that, the top bit of the iceberg, the bit above the surface, is all you have access to, like cognitively, and the majority of your experience, the majority of your, well, your experience really is below the surface. It's unconscious, it's automatic, and you don't really have much control over it, which means that basically you're operating on very little information and your body is doing more or less what it does. So we're going to call that bottom up. Now, if you have the experience of, let's say, dread, or the experience of intense fear, or the experience of panic, because after you've had a panic attack, it sort of sits in here for ages and ages and ages, and it just it could take a long time to go away, that sort of leftover feeling. What happens is your intense physical sensation has been triggered by your brain, your amygdala principally, recognizing threat in some way. And the threat, to a degree, can just be that I've had this before. So, you know, with panic, the threat eventually becomes, I fear having a panic attack. Hi, Tanya. So in the first instance, you know, it might be the fear of a panic attack might be, well, you know, crowds. But after a bit, it becomes the fear of having a panic attack. And so your limbic system, which is like an early part of your brain, it's like all animals, all mammals, for instance, have a limbic system. You know, the amygdala, the hippocampus, the hypothalamus, thalamus, etc. And the amygdala puts the definition of threat on a stimulus. Okay, that then activates the sympathetic nervous system, which then activates the adrenal glands and the thalamus, etc., and your hormones. And then what you end up with is, in here, you get the experience of anxiety or fear. Actually, fear would be the pure experience. Anxiety would be the human interpretation of it. Animals can feel fear. They typically don't feel anxiety because, well, anxiety is an act of imagination, an act of imagination. And typically animals are not so imaginative in many respects. Hi, Fiona. Vic, hi, Victoria. Now, what we want to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to show you how to change the physical sensation of an emotion. To do that, I am going to demonstrate to you the power of your imagination. Now, anxiety is an act of imagination, an act of imagination. Why do I say that? I say that because anxiety is always located in the future, and therefore, if you had no imagination, you could not imagine what the future would be like, and therefore you wouldn't have any anxiety. I hope that makes sense, because it's important, right? Depression is like a past-oriented thing. Worry and anxiety are always future-oriented, and it's always about what if something happens. Yes, but what would that mean? Okay. Now, you have to use your imagination to create anxiety, and you also have to use your imagination in many respects to perpetuate this sort of, I'm going to call it the dread feeling. You have to use your imagination to perpetuate this feeling in here. You've got to imagine how bad it is. You've got to imagine how catastrophic it is. You've got to imagine how bad your life would be if you never got rid of it. You know, you're adding a lot in with your imagination. And I would like to demonstrate something to you right now. I have prepared this demonstration, and and I want you to take it in the spirit in which it's meant, and that is, I am sacrificing myself for the benefit of my audience. And so I have prepared, oh dear, hope you're ready for this. I have prepared a lemon, right? Okay, now I want you to pay attention to what I'm about to do, and I want you to see my self-sacrifice. I want you to see my self-sacrifice, and I want you to do it in a sense, a little test, right? And the test I want you to do is this. I want you to see whether when I sacrifice myself and suck on this lemon, you get a physiological response. I want you to like just type in, right? So you're either going to have no physiological response, which means it's not going to affect you at all, right? Your mouth's not going to water. You're not going to pull a face. You're not going to, right? You're going to get no reaction, or you're going to go strong, right? So it's no or it's strong. It tends to be a bit that way, all right? Now, so prepare yourself, because I'm just trying to invite someone here. Right, prepare yourself for this self-sacrificing demonstration, okay? I have to say, some people like this kind of thing. This is not the sort of thing I would normally do. And I would put this on the same class as roller coasters, to be honest. Okay, so here we go. Pay attention. Oh. Ha. Oh. Ooh. Oh dear. Did anyone have a response to that? Watching me suck on the lemon, did it make your mouth water? Did you have a physiological response? Did anyone have a physiological response? Say strong for yes, and say no for no. Let me know how you're getting on. Strong. Yes, Jennifer, that is my face. Funny, okay, but lemon. But what about the physiological response, right? Who had a physiological response? Chip in. Okay, yeah, so Anthony had one. Good, okay. Louise, you had a funny response. Karen had a funny response. Okay. Anyone else? Oops. Ooh. Okay, so if you had any kind of physiological response to that event, how did that happen? It has to happen through the power of your imagination. And the power of imagination being, you can imagine what that's like. I mean, when I was thinking about doing this, I was thinking to myself, oh, you know, I mean, just thinking about it makes my mouth water, right? So you had to have if you had a physiological response, it had to be your imagination that made it happen. Does that seem fair? Type yes if it seems fair. Okay. Now, we are going to use the power of your imagination in your service, as opposed to the power of your imagination being used to your disservice. Your sense of dread, your strong feeling of panic, of strong negative emotions, is in part maintained by your imagination. We're going to use your imagination to change it. And so, what we're going to do is, let me just see if I can. I was just trying to invite someone. I was just trying to invite Sarah to join us, but I'm not quite sure how to do that. I seem to have. Okay, well, it's a difficult one for me to do, I'm afraid. My tech is not fantastic. Right, I'd like you to do this with me, okay? Now, imagine. So I'd like you to locate the feeling that you'd like to get rid of. It can be any emotion. Best if it's located in your chest or your stomach or your throat. Okay, so it's a physical sensation, a physical emotion. I'd like you to locate it and do this exercise with me. Okay, so you locate. It's best if you close your eyes. I'll keep my eyes open, although actually when I'm doing this I tend to close my eyes. Locate the sensation. Okay, chest, neck, stomach. It can be in your head, but it's a bit easier for this exercise. We can talk a bit how you'd work your head a bit at a different time. Chest, stomach, or neck. Okay. Now, focus your attention on the sensation. Focus your attention on it and try to make it a little bit more, I'm going to say strong, right? Try to focus on it, make it a little bit more defined, make it a little bit more clear, if you like, because I'm going to ask you a question about it. And type in what the answer is, okay? If you wanted me to feel what you feel in your chest, what would I have to imagine? Now, it might be that it's if it's dread, it's a really heavy feeling. It's a sinking feeling. I say, okay, it's a sinking feeling. And if I want to imagine that, like what kind of object would I have to put in my chest or my stomach or my neck to give me that feeling? It might be like a hard cannonball. It might be like a lead balloon. It might be like an iron bar. It might be like anything at all. So what would be your, what would I have to experience your strong physical emotion, your strong physical sensation? Type it in, let me know. And yep. Tons of people have effective imaginations. That's brilliant. I'm saying this, and I'm not sure if it's completely true, but probably the more of a response you had, the better this will work with you. Okay, right. So what is the sensation? What do I need to feel? What do I need to feel in my chest to experience what you experience? Okay. So let's assume that it's something that's heavy, it's sinking, it's hard. What color is it? Okay. What color is it? Is it dark? Is it black? Is it gray? Is it has a certain, it might well have a certain color, because we think of things in modalities, you know, we think of things in colors, tastes, sensations, physical attributes. It's sharp, it's blunt, it's soft, it's rough. Okay, so we have the physical sensation in the chest. We're deciding whether it's hard. We're deciding whether it's butterflies. Butterflies are good. Tightness is good. Yeah, like a foot stuck in your throat. Good. Burning in your stomach. Good. Medicine ball pushed in the belly. Excellent. Like swallowing very concentrated acid. Okay, good. Okay. I'm going to pick, just for the sake of this exercise, for the one I'm going to work with is a cannonball, like a heavy object. You work with your object, okay? Because the instructions I'm going to give you will work equally well with all of these. Okay, so you focus on that physical sensation. I want you to use your imagination now, and I want you to bring that sensation out of your stomach or your chest or your neck, and I want you to see it in your imagination in front of you. So whatever it is, if it's a burning, it can be flames. If it's a tightness, it's going to be a tight something though, right? It could be a tight knotted ball. It could be like a tangled rope. It could be like washing line, wrapped around. It actually could be like a tennis ball or a golf ball with elastic wrapped around, really tight. Okay, it could be anything, but I want you to imagine it out here in front of you, and I want you to imagine it as a physical object, and then I want you to think about what color it is, and I want you to kind of describe to yourself what the texture is. Is it rough? Is it hard? Is it smooth? Is it soft? Is it sharp? Is it burning hot? You know, whatever you like. It's dark, brilliant. It's a sinking feeling. We're going to call that heavy, right? Because something has to sink, okay? Now, this is what we're going to do. I'm just going to turn a little bit sideways because I want to just demonstrate it to you. Your emotions are always moving. Emotions never stay still. And if they do stay still, they have to be artificially kind of held in place. And if you've watched my Let the Worry Fly By film, you'll know that worries always move across the screen of your consciousness. You've got to physically hold them in place to have a bloody good worry about them. They're always moving. If you let them move, don't interfere with them, You're laughing. Okay. Now, I've got this heavy ball, this dark black cannonball here in front of me. Okay. Now, I've got two options to move it. One option is going to make it stronger. Going to make the emotion and the sort of the unpleasantness, the distress stronger. And one option is going to make it lighter, less intense. Okay. So I've got this ball. In my imagination, I'm going to spin the ball. First, I'm going to spin it up like this. I'm going to spin it in my imagination like this. So do this exercise with me. I'll just give you a moment to do it, right? So we're spinning it upwards towards the head and then down. So we're spinning it like this, okay? And then we can make it go a bit faster. And actually, I want it to go as fast as you can possibly make it. And I simply want you to answer this question. Is the feeling getting stronger or weaker? Is the emotion, the sensation, the unpleasantness getting stronger or weaker? Once you've decided which one it is, you can stop doing it. And if it's getting stronger, yeah, well, as soon as you figure that out, stop doing it because we don't want to make it any worse. Okay, so have you answered the question? What did you say? Come on, so type in quickly so I can get a sense of where we are. Is it stronger or weaker by going up? Is it stronger or weaker? Let's give me a little bit of feedback, and I'll just have a little sip of water. Okay, we've got somebody saying stronger. Okay. Is it stronger or weaker? Just type in, let me know. I need to know what's going on. Video froze but felt calmer. Okay, so potentially weaker. Now, it's idiosyncratic in the sense that everyone will have a different experience, right? For some people, it will be stronger. It will make your feeling of dread or your intense emotion, it will make it stronger. For some people, it will make it weaker. And you need to just decide which one it is, okay? Stronger, weaker, stronger. Okay, I've got 4 strongers and I've got 1 weaker. Okay, I'm gonna go with the idea that when you wind it up, it gets stronger. Okay, now if that's different for you, obviously we adjust. Okay, but I'm gonna do it like that. Now, if we take it the other way, it will get weaker. Okay, so now I'm going to take my ball, and instead of spinning up, I'm going to spin down. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go down and then up, down and up. So do this with me, down and up. And obviously, if you're reversed, do it the other way, down and up. Okay, I'm going to spin it down, down and up, down and up, and I'm going to spin it in my imagination. And as I spin it, I'm going to spin it faster and faster. Now I'm going to carry on doing this exercise. You carry on doing that with me, okay? You spin it in your imagination, and I'll just talk you through it. As you spin it faster and faster, I want you to notice that the object that you're spinning changes in some way. If it's a dark thing, it might become lighter. If it's a heavy thing, like it's lighter in color. If it's a heavy thing, it might become lighter. If it's a big thing, it might become smaller. So decide in what way this spinning is changing your object, which in principle is your emotion. Okay. Now I'm going to say that spinning my dark ball, it's quite a big thing. It's like a cannonball. It's making it smaller. I'm continuing to spin it. It's making it smaller. And as it gets smaller, it also appears to get a bit lighter. And it was like made of lead. It was a lead cannonball, but also it's feeling a lot less dense. And as I continue to spin it, I'm unwinding the intensity of the emotional experience. And I also noticed that my favorite color is blue, right? So the color of the object changes from black to my favorite color, which is blue. And so now the object has changed. It's smaller, it's lighter, it's now my favorite color as opposed to black. And actually, the question is now, who is in control? Keep it spinning. Who is in control of this emotion now, right? We've decided what makes it stronger. We've decided what makes it weaker. And now we're actually continuing to make it weaker. So you are in control. Lighter in weight, becoming less brittle, more pliable. Good. It's changing its characteristic. Now, here's the thing, right? Continue to spin it. You're in control of this. So this actually can have any characteristic you want it to have. So it can be the size of, it can start off like a ball, it can end the size of a pea. Right. Now, spin it, spin it, spin it, spin it. Bring it inside yourself and keep spinning it. So now it's spinning inside of you. And allow that sort of, that spinning to sort of spread out throughout your chest and your stomach and your neck. It can go up to your head. So imagine that spinning. You're unwinding years, potentially, years of emotional habit. You're retraining your body and you're unwinding the emotion. You're reducing it, you're releasing it, and allow it just to spread out. And allow yourself to feel a bit of freedom and a little bit of, you know, openness and a little bit of like relief, right? Now, allow that, just as I'm talking, allow that to continue. If it was flames, of course, flames would be doused. They'd be reduced in color. They would be reduced in intensity, you know. They'd move down to being like from bright white through red to orange to just like embers. So everything is amenable to change using your imagination, because your imagination has a big part in creating the problem. Your imagination has a big part in reducing and removing the problem. Smaller and lilac karma. Nice one, Karen. Okay, good. So we're spinning it inside, and let's just keep that going. Okay. Now, I asked you before, and perhaps many of you weren't on, I don't know. I asked you before what this meant to you. What's the meaning that's captured in this cannonball, right? So the meaning that I would use, for instance, for the cannonball is, it would be something like, I'm a failure, okay? Something bad's going to happen. I'm going to get found out. These are common, you know, beliefs. So the cannonball tells me that. But now that the cannonball is the size of a pea, what does it tell me? It actually doesn't tell me anything, because it's so small, its voice is hidden. So now the actual truth can come from the top down. And so the truth is that I'm perfectly competent and capable. So what's your truth? What is the truth for you now that you don't have this powerful emotion telling you something negative and untrue about yourself? So now we have the opportunity to bring the top down. And so what's the truth, right? As you know, if you work with me, so inflating a balloon, which is a someone's solution, right? As you bring the truth down into the experience, the negative emotion that gets trapped in your stomach or your chest or your neck gets squashed between your bottom up, which is just what we've done, the spinning, and the top down, which is actually the truth of the matter. It's invariably the case that you're more able, more competent, more capable, more resilient, more adventurous, braver, and more intelligent. You know, just you're more than you allow yourself to be. And when you bring the top down, when you actually bring the truth of your external situation to bear, it gives you a nice counterpoint, right? So now we have a physical tool that we can use, and now we have a mental tool that we can use. And one of the common ones I use for anxiety is, you know, I am safer than I feel I am, because that is always true for anxiety. I am safer than I feel I am. So if you don't know what your thing feels, you can just use that. So we now have two tools, right? We can change the physical sensation by using this tool, and we can change what we think by, in principle, using something like I am safer than I feel I am as a true statement of where we are. So how are we getting on? Louise, ball lighter and feel lighter too. Good. Less brittle. Yeah, we saw that one. Yeah. Excellent. Good. Now, if you have been, let's say, allowing this, right? If you've been struggling with this sensation, this physical sensation, which is the physical sensation of an emotion, for a period of time, you are going to be physiologically practiced, which basically means your body is going to expect you to feel like that. It's just going to automatically assume that you feel like that. Now, if I was to say to you, on a 0 to 10 scale, you know, how stressed are you normally? Like just on an average, you know? If you're used to being stressed, you say, well, yeah, I'm just about 4 or 5. Now, I would say 0, right? I'm not at all stressed. But if you're used to being stressed, you say 4 or 5, but it really only bothers me when it gets to be 8 out of 10. I would suggest to you that's way too high and it's not really useful. But you get used to that sensation, right? Yeah, I feel really good. I'm only a 4 or 5 out of 10. Yeah, but we don't want that, right? Because 4 or 5 out of 10, it only takes you like a couple of points and you're at 7. And that's, you know, that's too much. So with respect to anxiety, right? Where are you on anxiety? 0, not at all anxious. 10 is as bad as it could be. Yeah, I'm 4 or 5. That's not too bad. I'm not having too bad a day. It's too high. What you actually want is for you not to be anxious at all. But your body will assume that what you've excuse me, your body will assume that what you've had for a while is normal. So you now have an obligation to push your anxiety down further. You're going about your daily life. There's absolutely no reason why you need to be anxious. Absolutely none whatsoever. I say this to people in this, I'm just joking, right? So Facebook, don't, you know, if I was to pull a gun out and point it at you, you should feel fear. That's an appropriate emotion for the circumstance. But anxiety is an inappropriate emotion. There is absolutely no, there's no useful purpose for anxiety. 10 when stressed, 3 when I'm calmer. Okay, that's a big range. That's a big range, Karen. Well done. That's 10, okay. Now, what I'm saying is, you need to retrain your physiology. You need to retrain your body. So whatever is baseline for you, if it's not 0, if it's not 1, it's too high. And so do this exercise, and through this exercise, get into the habit of recognizing what's happening in your chest, your stomach, or your neck, or your head. Objectify it, like turn it into an object, and then do the exercise until your body gets the hang of the idea that you do not want this current baseline, but you want a different baseline. So we're now having to undo, you know, let's say months, weeks, years of practice of accepting a particular baseline. And if we accept a baseline, so if you accept 5, yeah, great at 5. If you accept 5 as a baseline, fine, okay. But bear in mind that that is your choice. Don't then complain about 5. If you accept, yeah, I love 5, don't complain about it then. My suggestion would be drive it down to 0 or 1. Why not? I mean, now you know how to do it, right? So we're going to retrain the well, it's up to you, of course, but I'm suggesting you retrain your physiology by not accepting that you need to have any anxiety in your life at all. Now, that's an element of this, okay? I mean, obviously, to completely eradicate anxiety is a more complicated and a kind of a wider ranging activity than this simple exercise. But this is a very good physiological intervention to change your kind of emotional state. If you've done any cognitive behavior therapy stuff before, you'll know that when I draw it out, and you might have seen this in my videos, you know, we have thoughts, we have emotions, we have behaviors, and we have sensations. Thoughts, emotions, behaviors, they're all linked. And today what we've done is we've intervened at sensation. We've deliberately changed your sensation, which changes what you think, what you feel, and what you do. And that's, as we did, if we did the whole cognitive behavior therapy approach, we change what you think, we change how you feel, we change what you do, change your life circumstances, and we do some more stuff with changing the sensation, just to give you a little bit more in your toolbox, if you like. Okay, so anyone got any questions? I've talked on for 34 minutes. Any questions, any thoughts, observations, any clarity that I could help bring to this process? Jennifer says, retraining physiology, how cool is that? I never knew it could be done. Memory blanks, too often tears, getting better each day. Well, Louise, memory blanks, dizziness, dissociation, which are some of the things that people have asked to have something done about. Well, dissociation, memory blanks, headaches, hypertension, tension, hypervigilance, they all, in my opinion, have a strong hyperventilation characteristic to them, and kind of a hypoxia, I think. So I think that they would benefit from breathing and grounding, particularly dissociation. If you have done my 10 seconds on the toes exercise, it's a really simple thing to do. It's really good, actually. It's really simple to do, and it just kind of grounds you in the in your day-to-day experience. But still, Louise says, too often in tears. Where in your body is the emotion located that creates the tears? What does that emotion tell you? What does it mean? What does that object say? What's it representing? And is it true? Okay, we can talk about this a bit more in the mastermind, Louise, because I know you're in that, and we'll be able to do something with that for you, Nush, without any question. Wow, Phyllis, been in your bedroom for 18 months. Your comfort zone, I would suggest, has reduced somewhat. I have known people who have been reduced to their bedroom, but assuming it's not a physical thing, but that's your comfort zone, it'd be hard to get smaller than that. You've with respect, you've gone with the flow, and only dead fish go with the flow. So I think we need to start pushing those boundaries a little bit more. You know, you've retreated to the point where it's hard to retreat any further. So now you've only got really one option. It has to go the other direction. You have to go against the flow and start pushing it. So that's something that definitely can be, you know, it can be resolved. It's just about working on it, right? Time and chest, right? I have this feeling like something terrible is going to happen to me. I just can't get on with everyday things. I've tried doing my painting, but I can't concentrate. That is, I mean, we might call it an anticipatory anxiety, but basically that is a real powerful example of the power of your imagination. Because if every day you fear something terrible happening to you and nothing happens, we can ask the question, why don't you learn from experience? Okay. Well, the answer is that you feel fortunate that you got away with another day without something terrible happening to you, but you haven't changed the core, the belief, the feeling, the sensation that something is going to happen. I would definitely do this exercise with that, right? I would locate the emotion that tells you that something bad is going to happen, and I would unwind it. And then I would bring down the top-down interpretation that actually, typically nothing does happen. You know, if you're a regular person doing regular things, you know, a gang member or in the SAS, if you're a regular person doing regular things, your risk is the same as everybody else's. And so actually, your imagination is creating a massive overestimation of the threat you're under. And we have to deal with it. And this sandwich approach, I think, is a nice way of doing that. Okay, good. So I think I'll draw it to a close. Thank you very much for joining me on this Facebook Live. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope you appreciate the sacrifice I've made having to suck a lemon. I might use that in the gin later on. If you want to change your life, this is a tool, right? I've given you a tool. If you want to change your life, if you look on the drpurvis.online page and in the group page, Panic Pit Stop support group, you'll find a link to the Panic Pit Stop course, and I've put up a 20% discount coupon that's good for 24 hours. Panic Pit Stop's not expensive. The discount coupon, it's almost like a no-brainer. Here's the thing, okay? If you don't do anything, nothing will change. Now, I know you might think that nothing can help me. I promise you, I have heard that hundreds of times, and I have helped hundreds of people with that self-same belief. It disempowers you. My problems are too big, my problems are too complicated, I don't know what to do about them. Fine, you don't need to know what to do about them. Fortunately, I do, and I have created the Panic Pit Stop course to take you through everything, okay? So please determine to have a better experience by Christmas. If you're stuck in your bedroom, let's go to the supermarket by Christmas. You know, whatever it is, wherever you are, if you're not happy being where you are, it can be changed. All you have to do is to put some effort into changing it. Now, my general motto is this, right? You can crack the code of panic, anxiety, depression, stress, 10 minutes a day or less. That's all it takes. 10 minutes of this kind of activity, you'd be amazed at how much your experience can change. And if you feel like you don't want to do it alone, then please join the mastermind group. The mastermind group still has a few places, and we're going to be doing some more of this stuff. I'll be teaching some EFT, some EMDR, and some other kinds of things, some interventions, right? And, you know, it's just that extra bit of connection with me and with the group so that we can move things forward. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, really. As you've probably heard me say before, I've worked with over 800 patients, clients face-to-face, and about 5,000 online. And it's really kind of a simple thing, right? Effort equals outcome. If you do something, you will get a different outcome. And if you put enough effort into it, brilliant, you know, you can get to anywhere you want to be. The only failure is not trying. The only failure is not being into something that's useful to you. So I put this discount code up. It's good for 24 hours. You get 20% off the first month. And in any case, it's not expensive. Given that, what does panic, anxiety, depression, stress actually cost you, you know? So I hope you've enjoyed this. I thank you for your participation, and I thank you for, you know, all the comments that you made and, you know, helping me to focus this and whatnot. If you've got any thoughts and observations, if you need any clarity on this, please, you know, obviously leave comments and whatnot. This will be available on Facebook. I think that they recorded, and it'll be available, and so you can watch it again. So thanks for taking the time to watch and listen. If you want to change your life, use the coupon code, only good for 24 hours. You get 20% off the Panic Pit Stop program bundle. Thank you. Have a good Friday.